Ah, Emeka, you are wicked. You mean this marriage has been a lie for 19 years?
I'm sorry. Please. If you knew everything, you would never have loved me. I stole 19 years of your life.
Adaeze your Okafor had only few days left to live. She had spent 19 years blaming herself for something that was never her fault. And the man she had loved for 27 years had just destroyed everything she believed about her marriage. She believed it every time her mother-in-law asked, in that her sweet poisonous voice, "Adaeze, you no go try again. Emeka needs an heir." She believed it right up until 11:40 p.m. on a Wednesday in March 2022, lying in an hospital bed with a few days left to live. That night, her husband Emeka finally told her the truth he had hidden for nearly 2 decades. Let's go back to how this all started. Adaeze and Emeka had once been happy. They married in 1999 in Enugu, surrounded by family, laughter, and every promise young couples make when they believe life will be kind to them. 2 years later, they welcomed their son Chidi. Then in October 2003, that's 4 years after, everything changed. A road accident took Chidi from them. Adaeze survived with a fractured hip. The grief nearly buried them both. What nobody outside the hospital knew, not even Emeka's mother, was that same accident had done something else. While everyone mourned the child they lost, Adaeze quietly received another devastating blow. The doctor told her the injuries from the accident had left severe internal scarring. Future pregnancies, he said, would be extremely difficult, possibly impossible. She never told anyone the truth though, even Emeka. One loss already felt unbearable. She couldn't bring herself to hand him another one. So she smiled and told Emeka that the doctor advised them to keep trying, and she carried the secret all alone. 3 years passed, no pregnancy. 5 years, still nothing. And slowly, the blame found its way to her doorstep. By the time Emeka's mother, Mama Nkechi, started her campaign in earnest, Adaeze had stopped defending herself. It began with small comments, then suggestions, then outright attack.
Ada, you no go give my pikin. Wetin dey do you? You don't use your womb do sacrifice. Why you no gree give my pikin?
One Christmas afternoon, while relatives filled the parlor with laughter and noise, Mama Nkechi said what everyone knew she had been thinking for years. "Emeka, I'm not saying you should take a second wife, but a man cannot mourn one dead son forever." The room went quiet. From the kitchen doorway, Adaeze froze, and Emeka response, "Mama, abeg. Ada is my wife, and that is it." The conversation ended there. At least, that was what Adaeze thought. Adaeze guilt grew over the years into something she rarely spoke about, not even to her closest friend, Esther. One evening, the two women sat on Esther's veranda. "Esther, sometimes I think God is punishing me," she said one evening. "I lost my son. Now I can't even give my husband another one. What kind of wife am I now?" "Ha! Adaeze, stop talking like this now," Esther said, looking up from the seat. "It's not your fault your body is your body now. 19 good years. And Emeka has never complained for once, so Esther, he never said anything about this thing." Esther sighed. "Then thank God for the kind of man you married. Most men would have looked elsewhere by now." Adaeze managed a small smile. "That's what I tell myself too, Sha." What both women didn't know was that Emeka's silence on the matter was not patience. It was a man quietly building an entirely different life 80 kilometers away. It started in 2008. 5 years after Chidi's death, when Emeka opened a third building material shop in Onitsha and needed someone to manage the books. So he hired a young beautiful accountant. Her name was Blessing. At first, she was simply an employee, just come to work and go back to your house. Then she became that one person Emeka called when business went well. The person he would call when business went badly. The person who listened when grief made sleep impossible for him. By 2010, Blessing was pregnant. By who? Emeka, of course. Then by 2011, she had a Emeka named him Kosi. He told himself this was temporary, a mistake he would somehow contain. Then came a daughter in 2013, then another son in 2016. And just like that, Emeka started building a second home, an entire second family, running parallel to the life Adaeze believed she was living. Every business trip to Onitsha, every late home return, every excuses, they all led to the same place. But not for one day did Adaeze thought he would ever have another home behind her back. For nearly 11 years, Emeka lived two lives perfectly. His friend Tunde discovered the truth by accident in 2012. He stopped by the Onitsha shop unannounced and met Blessing, heavily pregnant with a second child. Emeka, what is this now? Tunde asked him outside. You have a wife in Enugu, a good woman at that, who has spent years trying to give you this man another child. Meanwhile, you are here building a whole family. Please, 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 please. Adaeze does not need to carry more pain than she already has. Tunde stared at him and said, Oh, is that your excuse? So you think you are protecting Ada? No, you are protecting your selfish self, Emeka. Emeka had no answer, because deep down, he knew Tunde was right. Emeka didn't speak to Tunde for almost a year after that conversation. But Tunde, in the end, kept the secret away anyway, out of misplaced loyalty Emeka never deserved. Years passed. Adaeze grew older in a marriage she believed was quiet, not broken. Emeka gave her everything she could see: a renovated house, a Toyota Camry, capital for her fabric business, the facade of a husband who had stayed. One afternoon, while folding fabric in her shop, she told Esther something she genuinely believed. God knows best, oh my friend, she said with a small smile. At least, Emeka never left me for it. Some men would have left on. She had no idea how close that sentence sat to the truth. In 2019, Emeka's mother died. She went to her grave believing her son had no grandchildren. She never knew 3 children already existed in Onitsha. At the funeral, Emeka stood beside Adaeze, holding her hand, receiving condolences like a devoted husband. Hours later, he drove back to Onitsha to his secret. For years, he convinced himself that keeping the secret was an act of mercy to Adaeze, that telling the truth would only deepen her pain. He repeated that lie to himself so often that he almost believed it. Then in January 2022, Adaeze began losing weight rapidly. The diagnosis in February was ovarian cancer, stage 4. Dr. Eze at National Hospital was gentle but direct. Mrs. Okafor, you have been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and the cancer is advanced, but we will do everything we can, but you need to prepare yourself. Emeka stared at the doctor, then stared at her. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. Emeka sat beside her bed, as he had done every day since she was admitted. On a Wednesday night, weaker than he had ever seen her, Adaeze gripped his hand. Emeka, before I die, I need you to forgive me for something. Adaeze, there is nothing I need you to forgive me for. You didn't wrong me in any way whatsoever. She took a slow breath. For 19 years, I have lived with one prayer. I kept asking God to forgive me. I lost our only son. I couldn't give you another one. I watched your mother pray for grandchildren I knew I could never give her. I watched people look at you with pity because you married me. And every time someone told you to take another wife, you refused. You chose me. Her voice trembled. That was the only thing that kept me going, Emeka. But Emeka, there is something I never told you. The night after the accident, after the surgery, the doctor called me aside. He told me the internal scarring was too severe, that carrying another child would be impossible. Emeka went very still. I didn't tell you, she continued, her chin trembling but her voice steady. You had just lost your son. You were sitting outside that yard every night, barely eating, barely sleeping. How could I walk out there and say, Emeka, not only did we lose Chidi, but there will never be another one. I could not do it. So I told you to keep trying, and I watched you up, month after month, year after year, for something I already knew would never come. I let Mama call me barren, and I said nothing. I sat under her insult. I smiled at every Owambe. I went to pastors and abbalists I didn't believe in, just so you would think I was still trying. Her voice broke. That is what I am asking you to forgive. Not my body, but my silence. The room was completely still. Emeka stared at the woman in the hospital bed, his wife, now thin and faded. The ivy taped to the back of her hand, and natural hair loose against the pillow, and something inside his chest collapsed slowly, like a wall that had been cracking for years, finally giving away. Adaeze, his voice was barely recognizable. You have nothing to be forgiven for. He shook his head, tears breaking free. You hid that report because you loved me, because you were trying to protect me. What I did was entirely different. Adaeze watched him carefully. Something in his voice had shifted in a way that made her go very quiet. Emeka, her voice was careful now. What are you saying? He couldn't look at her. I didn't wait, Adaeze. Silence. What do you mean you didn't wait? He finally looked up, and the expression on his face was one she had never seen before in 27 years of marriage. Not grief, not guilt, something deeper and uglier than both. I have another family. For nearly a minute, the only sound in the room was the steady rhythm of the heart monitor. Beep, beep, beep. Adaeze blinked, almost as if she hadn't heard him correctly. What? I have 3 children, with a woman in Onitsha named Blessing. It all started in 2010 at the shop. She was my accountant. One terrible decision became another. I kept telling myself I would end it, but I never did. I built another home instead. A whole new different life from the one you know. And every single time I came back to Enugu, you welcomed me home. He wiped his face. But that's not the worst thing I did. The worst thing I did was watching you blame yourself. I watched you believe you weren't enough. I watched you carry shame that was never yours. I watched you go to pastors and abbalists, carrying guilt for something that was never your fault. Your body was never the obstacle, Adaeze. I was. My choices were. And I let you believe otherwise for 11 years. It broke down completely. Now you are lying here, asking me to forgive you for protecting me. But you protected a man who did not deserve it. You have nothing to confess, my love. Adaeze stared at the man she had loved for 27 years. The man she had trusted. The man she thought she knew. Emeka braced for the rage he knew he deserved. He waited for her to pull her hands away, to curse him, to tell him to leave. Instead, Adaeze held on. She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet, steady, almost frighteningly calm. "You mean to tell me all those trips to Onitsha?" He nodded. She swallowed.
Emeka, you are wicked. You mean this marriage has been a lie for 19 years?
I buried my dreams, thinking I was the reason. I defended you. I defended this marriage. I thank God every night for giving me a faithful husband. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And the whole time she whispered, "You were building a home for yourself with another woman." Emeka, you are wicked. Emeka broke down again. "Adaeze, Biko, I am sorry. I am so sorry." She gently shook her head. "Do you know what's strange? I am angry, oh. So angry I don't even have words for you. But somehow, I am also relieved. Because tonight, you finally told me the truth. The only thing that was ever broken was you. Not me, not our marriage. You, your fear, your choice to lie to me every single day for 11 years. Emeka couldn't stop crying. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "No," she answered softly. "You don't." The words hung between them. "But I am not sure this is about forgiveness anymore. I am dying, Emeka. I refuse to spend my last days carrying a burden that was never mine to carry. That much, at least, I can put down tonight." She reached for his trembling hand, not because he deserved comfort, but because she refused to leave this world carrying his lie. "I don't know if I can forgive what you did, though. Maybe I never will. But I can finally stop blaming myself." A faint weary smile crossed her face. "That is enough for me." The room fell silent again. Only steady reading of the heart monitor remained. For the first time in 19 years, there were no more lies. Only the truth. 4 days later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Adaeze slipped away. Emeka was sitting beside her bed, still holding her hand. This time, she didn't let go. Life did. At the funeral, Esther waited until the crowd had thinned before walking over to Emeka. "Adaeze told me everything before she died." Emeka looked at her stunned. "About blessing," she continued. "About the children." She shook her head slowly. "You let that woman spend 19 years believing she was enough, believing you were a good man, Emeka." Her voice softened. "That guilt was never hers, Emeka. It was yours." He opened his mouth to respond. Nothing came out because there was nothing left to say. Adaeze forgave him in her own complicated way, in her final hours. But that forgiveness came after 19 years. That evening, Emeka returned to an empty house. Adaeze's Bible still lay on the bedside table. A wrapper still hung behind the bedroom door. For the first time in 27 years, the silence felt unbearable. Some truths come too late to save the people we love, but they can still free those who spent years carrying guilt that never belonged to them. I hope you enjoyed this story. Like, comment, and subscribe. Was Adaeze right to forgive him, or should she have died angry? Tell me in the comment sections. Bye.